Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another MLB The Show 22 video on the channel, and today I am going to be doing the first tier list video in a series of videos that I'm going to be doing reoccurring about monthly or bi-monthly. I'm going to be ranking every position in the game, ranking the cards S through F in a tier list based on how good I think they are, how good I know they play in game, and other factors as well. But before we get into the rest of the video, guys, make sure you guys drop a like down below and subscribe when notifications on if you guys have been enjoying the vids and you do not want to miss any coming out in the future. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, I don't want to waste any time because this video is definitely going to take some time, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off, we have 88 Joe Mauer. Now throughout this tier list, I am going to have to change things around because I'm just going to be starting off, and I might put a guy too high that I want to move on later. So starting off with Joe Mauer, he's got really good contact on both sides, solid power, never mind, not solid power, very bad power, good fielding, solid behind the dish. But because of his low power, the highest I can put him is C right now. But honestly, he's bordering D for me. I think he's somewhere in between. I have not used this Joe Mauer card, the 88 overall version this year, so I can't really say if he plays well or not. But based on the stats I see, he's pretty solid behind the plate. He's got really nice contact, but he's got poor power, and he just doesn't live up to some of the other options we have at catcher. Second, we have the 88 overall All-Star Mike Piazza you get from the USA Conquest map. Piazza's got very balanced hitting stats. He's got 70s for contact, 80s for power. He's got very solid fielding. Obviously doesn't have any speed. He feels a tiny bit better than Mauer to me, but not by a large amount. I think the only reason I'm taking this Piazza over Mauer is because of that power advantage. Now, obviously, Piazza is significantly worse when it comes to contact, but I personally care more about balance between contact and power rather than power itself. Now, if we're talking on legend difficulty, would I rather have Mike Piazza or Joe Mauer? I'd probably rather have Joe Mauer because of that high contact, but in everyday play, Mike Piazza is just going to be better, especially on any difficulty through All-Star, and that's 90% of the games you're going to play. So I think Mike Piazza slightly has that edge. Obviously his swing isn't amazing, but still a solid free option that isn't exactly easy to get, but you're going to get him along the way of doing the USA map, so you might as well get him. And for a starting catcher early on in the game, if you're just getting going, he is nowhere near bad. Now next up, we have the 96 overall Joe Mauer, and to me, this is still the best catcher in the game, even with the brand new Mike Piazza. This card is so unbelievably good. He's got 100 plus contact on both sides. He's got 70 plus power on both sides. He absolutely crushes righties. Joe Mauer, looking at his stats, obviously, he's incredible behind the plate. One of the best defensive catchers. Got a nice lefty bat. Incredible contact, incredible power, solid speed. Joe Mauer, to me, just is still the best catcher in the game, and there's not a doubt about it. Now, next up, we have Henry Davis. I don't know how I feel about Henry Davis. I think he's gonna go 8 here, just because of how similar all of these future stars catchers are. Let's take a look at his stats real quick. Looking at his stats, he's got really balanced hitting stats, which I love to see. He's pretty solid behind the plate, got an incredible arm and incredible accuracy, but his fielding's alright. But that contact power combo is really solid. I like the look of this Henry Davis. Once again, I have not used this card, so I can't say for sure, but Henry Davis, definitely a solid option. You can get it, you could have gotten it for free. You can't anymore, obviously, but Henry Davis, really solid card. Now moving on, we got Mitch Garver, another card you can't get anymore, but he was free. Now, Mitch Garver, taking a look at his stats right here, he's got incredible power. He absolutely destroys lefties, but that contact against righties is pretty bad, and he's not a good defender. So Mitch Garver, if I were to put Mitch Garver, I think he's better than Piazza and Mauer, but I think not by a lot. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Garver at the top of C tier right there, just in front of Piazza, because I think he's that little bit better, but I don't think he's better by much. I think his power is really nice, but because that contact against righties is so low, it's really hard to put him super high. Now next up, we have we have veteran Yasmani Grandal, the gold right here from the Battle Royale program. I mean, this card, he's really solid behind the plate. He doesn't have an arm, but he's got great fielding and great reaction time. He's a switch hitter, and like I said, he's got great power, but he's got absolutely no contact. He's got no speed. I just can't ever see myself choosing to use this Yasmani Grandal card. So I think he's F tier, man. That contact just makes him unusable, even on All-Star, man. Like, and that's really saying something right there. If a card is unusable on All-Star, you know that card is bad. Next up, we got tops now. Patrick Mazeika. Take a look at him real quick. He's got really good hitting stats against righties. He's not great against lefties, but he's pretty dang good behind the dish. Not the best arm, but he's got good accuracy, and he's got really solid fielding. Patrick Mazeika is definitely solid, but once again, I think he falls in that mediocre tier, and I think I'd rather have Joe Mauer over him. I think a lot of these guys are very close. They all kind of do something separate, and it all kind of evens out. Mitch Garver, great power, low contact on one side. Mike Piazza, balanced, but nothing special. Joe Mauer, incredible contact, bad power. Patrick Mazeika, crushes righties, doesn't hit lefties. So they all kind of have their pros and cons, and I think it evens out them all in C tier. And Patrick Mazeika, he's solid for sure, but he is nothing special. Next up, we got Ivan Rodriguez. Now, I view Ivan Rodriguez as a better Joe Mauer. Obviously, his contact is not as good, but you're not going to notice a huge difference compared to Joe Mauer's contact, the 88 overall, obviously, and his power is about 20 to 30 better on both sides, so that is really important. He is absolutely incredible behind the dish. Great fielding, great arm, great accuracy, solid reaction, good blocking. Surprisingly good speed for a catcher, a nice righty bat. There are a lot of lefty starters out right now, so a good righty bat is always useful. Ivan Rodriguez, to me, falls, I think, high B tier. I can't say A tier, because a lot of those future stars are going to be taking up A tier, because they're also similar, but they're not quite on the level of Joe Mauer for me. But Ivan Rodriguez, very good card. Next up, we got the Future Star Joey Bart, a card I have used a little bit, but only in BR, so I really don't have a ton of experience with this card, but he absolutely crushes lefties, really good against righties, a nice righty bat, really good behind the plate, solid speed for a catcher, obviously. Joey Bart looks incredible to me. I think he is better than Henry Davis, but I don't think he's quite S tier for me. Next up, we have prospect Francisco Alvarez for the New York Mets. Now, Francisco Alvarez is actually really good. This card is underrated. I've used him a couple times in BR, and he hits very well. Nice righty bat, pretty dang good against lefties, solid against righties, really solid behind the dish, 77 fielding, 82 arm. He's honestly got solid speed. Francisco Alvarez is better than anything we've seen in C tier so far, and I think it'd be a crime if we didn't put him B tier. I just think he's a better Mike Piazza. He's got a better swing, he's got better hitting attributes, and he's better behind the plate. That's how I see Francisco Alvarez. He's a better Mike Piazza, at least when it comes to the All-Star version. Next up, we got Luis Campusano. Once again, these Future Star cards are all very similar. Luis crushes lefties, very good against righties, incredible behind the dish, got not great speed. It's good, it's obviously usable. You don't need amazing speed out of your catcher. He's not quite as good a defender as Joey Bart, and he doesn't have quite the hitting stats of Joey Bart, so I think he's definitely below Joey Bart, but I would put Luis just above Henry Davis for me. He's right there though. All these cards are so similar that it's hard to put one over the other because they all kind of have their own benefits, but it's minuscule. It's barely noticeable. None of them are super different from each other. Next up, we got a card that I'm a huge fan of, but obviously people know about it. We got Diamond Mike Napoli from the Texas Rangers collection. He's got really good power, really good contact on both sides, very balanced hitter, nice righty arm. He's not amazing behind the dish, obviously. He's definitely below average, but with those hitting stats, you can get away with it, I think. Once again, a great card to start out early game. That Texas Rangers set is dirt cheap, especially with Semyon being a gold now. Mike Napoli, for me, once again, is just like a better Piazza or a Garver if he had a little less power and actually could hit righties. That's how I see him. I think he's definitely better than Francisco Alvarez. I don't know if I'd say he's better than Ivan Rodriguez, but he's going to go in that B tier right above Francisco Alvarez. I think he's honestly even with Ivan Rodriguez. Ivan Rodriguez, the only reason I'd put him above him is because of that defense, and that would be the reason. And next up, we have who was my catcher for a while, so I know him very well. We have switch hitting prospect Adley Rutschman. Now, Adley Rutschman, because of his switch hit ability, it definitely increases how valuable he is. He's got very similar hitting stats to Mike Napoli, except obviously the contact and power are switch, but he's much better behind the disc, and like I said, that switch hitting is so huge. This is a very solid card. He's not super cheap anymore because prospects are going up a little bit, but Adley Rutschman, because of that switch ability and because of that defense, I'm just going to put him above Ivan Rodriguez at the very top of B tier, but I just can't get myself to put him in A tier because he's not as good as those Future Stars cards. And like I said, those Future Star cards are very good, but all very similar. Now, next up, we got a card that I'm also quite the fan of, honestly. He was from the, Lou Gehrig's Day promo. We have Salvador Perez. This is pretty much just, to me, a better Mitch Garver. Now, obviously, he's still not amazing against righties, but he's better than Mitch Garver against righties. He absolutely crushes lefties. He's got a solid arm. He's not good behind the dish at all, but he's got a good arm, so at least he's got that. To me, like I said, Salvador Perez is a little bit better Mitch Garver, and that's where he's going to go. He's going to go right above Mitch Garver in C tier. Definitely not too bad, though. Definitely not bad at all. And next up, we got a guy who's obviously primary shortstop, but one thing I did forget to mention about this tier list, I'm going to be putting guys where I think you should play them, or you're going to see them played most. Kyle Farmer, you're not going to see him played anywhere but behind the plate. So Kyle Farmer, I threw him in the catcher's tier list. He also might be on the shortstop list. We'll just have to see. But Kyle Farmer right here, absolutely deadly against lefties, really good against righties, and really solid behind the plate. I don't know if those fielding stats go down behind the plate all that much. Let's check real quick. Let's go out and take a look real quick. We'll throw him into my team and see what his stats go down to. I'd imagine they're still going to be pretty good, though. That's one I forgot to throw in there. I forgot to throw in Taylor Ward. That would have been real nice, honestly. But Kyle Farmer, yeah, his fielding stats are very similar to what they were. They don't go down all that much. So he will be fine behind the plate when it comes to defensively. So happy with him for sure behind the plate. Definitely not a bad option at all. But when we were looking at his stats, he was, like I said, great against lefties, solid against righties, great, well, not great, but solid behind the plate. Kyle Farmer, to me, is like a little bit better Francisco Alvarez. I don't know if I can put him ahead of Mike Napoli. Actually, you know what, I am, because that defense, he's got similar hitting stats. I think he goes right above Mike Napoli, but he's still below Ivan Rodriguez. So there you guys go there. And then next up, we got the black and white Jimmy Fox. Looking at him, I'm just trying to pull up his stats right now. Where is Jimmy Fox? There he is. Looking at his stats real quick. Really good contact on all sides. 125 contact left, 102 contact right. Pretty solid power as well. But behind the dish, he is going to struggle. If he already has 70 fielding, behind the dish, that's at max going to be 65. He is really going to struggle behind the plate. Obviously, those hitting stats are really, really nice, though. So, Jimmy Fox is a tough one. I think I'm going to put Jimmy Fox where Mike Napoli is. I'm going to have him ahead of Mike Napoli, but not by a lot. Because basically, he's just a little bit better hitter than Mike Napoli, but they're both similar defensively. So, you can choose who you want to go with there. You can choose with the guy who's going to cost you 5K or the guy who's going to cost you 20K. So that's all I'm saying there. Mike Napoli's the better overall option when you take into account price, but I think Jimmy Fox is the slightly better card. Next up, we got Gary himself, Gary Sanchez. Now, this was my starting catcher for a long time. I have him parallel to, so I know this card. And I mean, looking at his stats, you would assume that he's very good. He looks very similar to how we've seen with that Salvador Perez and that Mitch Garver. But I don't know what it is about his swing, but it is just god awful. This is very embarrassing. So, you guys know that me showing this to you is that I care about you guys. When I used him in the 20 games and 14 at-bats, I batted a .071 with one hit, and it was a home run. This Gary Sanchez card is, to me, just did not feel all that good. But can I rate him lower than Salvador Perez or Mitch Garver? I don't know if I can, because he just has better hitting stats than them, and he's honestly not that bad behind the plate. I don't think I could put him, because both these guys are bad behind the plate as well. And Gary Sanchez just has the better hitting stats. So I hate to say it, but Gary Sanchez goes above those guys. But I would honestly take Francisco Alvarez over Gary Sanchez. Same with Mike Napoli. Same with Kyle Farmer. All those guys. Next up, we have another prospect coming in, Gabriel Moreno. This is a card I've only used once or twice in BR. Haven't had a large sample size with him, but what I've seen, he's pretty solid. Got really solid contact, not amazing power, but he's very solid behind the plate when it comes to defensive. And he's honestly got a good secondary, but obviously that doesn't matter here. But he's okay behind the plate. He's got good contact, okay power. Honestly, this card feels like a Joe Mauer. Like, this card looks like if Joe Mauer had worse power and a little bit of worse contact and a little bit more power. But to me, I think I'd rather have Joe Mauer than Gabriel Moreno. I think he's a little bit better than Patrick Mazeika, but I don't think he's better than that 88 Joe Mauer, honestly. And next up, we got a card that a lot of people hate because they pulled him a lot early on in the year out of those Face of the Franchise packs. We have Face of the Franchise, Sean Murphy. Now, honestly, this card is not too bad at all. He is an incredible defender behind the plate. 98 arm, 95 fielding, 99 reaction, 88 blocking. 94 power and 85 power are very good respectively, but that contact is just not there. But I think just because how good he is defensively, you got to give him a lot of credit, and I think I'm going to put him at the top of C tier. I think I'd rather use this Sean Murphy card than that Gary Sanchez card. His defense is just almost unmatched. I don't think we've seen a better defender till Sean Murphy. He's got really good power, but poor contact. Like I said, any guys with low contact you do not want to take into like legend difficulty games, but most people who are playing this game really aren't getting into legend difficulty games in ranked seasons. I don't even play legend difficulty games, and I play this game a lot. I don't play ranked seasons that much, so that makes sense, I guess. And next up, we got another Future Stars card, but this one didn't come out of the Future Stars program. This was in an event. We got MJ Melendez. Now, MJ Melendez is definitely not bad. He's pretty solid, but he's got incredible defense. He's got really good hitting stats. He's got really good secondaries, but like I said, we don't take that into account. He's got really solid speed, but I think he's the worst future star card we've seen. He's still an incredible card. He's better than anyone in B tier, so he goes bottom A. But he's got worse hitting stats than any future star card we've seen so far. And he's got similar defensive stats to the guys at the top here. The only thing that really separates him is his speed and his batting hand, which is left. And honestly, lefty bats right now are less desirable. So I think MJ Melendez is still very good, but he's got to be last for me when it comes to the future stars right now. And then next up, we got the brand new Mike Piazza card, tied for the highest overall catcher in the game right now. And I gotta say, man, those hitting stats look incredible on this card. You can't deny it. Those hitting stats look incredible, but you know that if you use the 88 overall Mike Piazza, his swing just feels so wonky. And I can't explain it. It feels just so not smooth. And his fielding stats are fine. They're nothing special, but they're fine. He's an okay defender behind the plate. But like I said, that swing makes it really, really hard for me to want to use this card. But you just can't look past those hitting stats and those solid defensive stats. Mike Piazza is in S tier. Like I said, you can get used to his swing. I just don't like it personally. You might. He's probably better than most of the future star cards, but he's definitely not as good as Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer just has such a crisp swing. He's a much better defender. I'm willing to sacrifice the 10 or 20 power. As well, you gain a little bit of contact with Joe Mauer. I'm willing to sacrifice that to become a better defender and also get a really nice swing. So I'd take Joe Mauer over Mike Piazza for sure. And then next up, we have my current starting catcher, a card I honestly really, really like. We got Corey Lee, man. Corey Lee, very, very, very good card. And one reason I love this card, he's got a 99 arm with 97 accuracy. That is so useful when it comes to throwing out runners. As well, he's got very, very good hitting stats, comparable to all the future stars we've seen so far. Maybe it's because I played with him a lot. Looking at this, I'm not batting the best average with him, but whenever I come up, I'm striking out or I'm hitting bombs with him. Like I have a triple and 2 home runs with him. So you know that I'm hitting the ball very hard with this Corey Lee card. I personally really enjoy this card, and I think he's better than any of the future star catchers that we've seen so far, and I think he is the best future star catcher personally. I think it's close between him and Joey Bart. Joey Bart is very, very good, but I would personally take Corey Lee over Joey Bart. Also, obviously a good right-handed batter. And then next up, we got Rhea Langeliers. This card, I don't mind it. He's obviously a good card. When it comes to, like I said, every one of these future stars cards is going to be an A tier because they're all very, very similar. This card, he's got really solid stats. He's got better righty batting stats, which is weird as a righty, obviously. He's very good behind the plate, got great arm. He looks incredible, man. All of these future star cards looks incredible. It honestly doesn't matter where I put him. I'd put him number 3. And that would be my order of the future star catchers right there. Corey Lee, Joey Bart, Shea Langeliers, Louis Campesino, Henry Davis, and then MJ Melendez, but they're all very, very similar. The only guy I wouldn't let you put first is MJ Melendez, but any of these guys you could reorder, and I'd be like, that's fine. It's all personal preference, whose swing you like more. I really like Corey Lee and Joey Bart the most, personally, but that is just my choice, right? And the next up, we got the Yankees phenom, who has been breaking out this season, Jose Trevino. Jose Trevino is definitely not bad. He's got really, really good contact against both sides. He's got really, really solid power. He's got good fielding behind the dish. No speed, obviously, but a solid righty bat. Jose Trevino, once again, feels very similar to this Joe Mauer, Gabriel Moreno category, but I think he's definitely better than Mauer. He's got similar contact and much better, similar contact with much better power. I think he's better than Piazza. I think he's better than Garver because of that defense, and I think he moves up to second in the C tier. I think he's better than Murphy. I think that contact power makes him very good. He obviously isn't quite the defender Murphy is, but he's solid. He's up there. He's very, very close, honestly. So I'd put Jose Trevino at the top of C tier, but once again, I'd probably still take Francisco Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez is very underrated. And then next up, we have the only monthly awards card on this tier list. We have Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho is not bad at all, man. He's got very balanced stats when it comes to hitting, other than power left. He's got some of the best secondaries in the game, but obviously that doesn't matter with those left, center, right. We obviously don't see a lot of lefty catchers, so it is nice to see him, but right now righty catchers are probably better. He's very, very good behind the dish, and he's got 80 speed, which is very, very nice. You love to see high speed on catchers. You don't need it, but it's very nice when you see it. So I think Dalton Varsho is very, very, very solid. That power against left does hurt him a little bit, but he's very good defender, got great speed. To me, I think he's low B tier, just below Francisco Alvarez, but I think it's close between him and Francisco, honestly. Actually, I'm gonna put him above Francisco Alvarez, honestly. I'm gonna put him above Mike Knapp. You know what? I'm high on Dalton Varsho. I think he is B tier for me. I think that he is very, very solid, and I really like Dalton Varsho, honestly. From what I used him from the monthly awards program, he played very, very solid, and I definitely liked him. Next up, we got a card that I have to say I am not a fan of this card at all. I think it is bad. We got Johnny Bench. Once again, great secondaries, literally doesn't matter. His hitting stats are putrid compared to every card we've seen today. He honestly has the worst hitting stats except for Yasmani Grandal. He's obviously great behind the plate, but you need a catcher who can hit, man. And Johnny Bench just simply can't hit. He obviously can hit a little bit, but he's just, compared to the rest of these guys, Johnny Bench is D tier. Johnny Bench is the second worst catcher we've seen so far. And it's crazy to me that I'm saying that, but he just is not very good at a 92 overall. He was one of the first event rewards, and he sucks, honestly. And next up, we got our second gold on the list. We have Joey Bart. And you want to hear something absolutely crazy? This Joey Bart right here is better than Johnny Bench. Obviously, Johnny Bench is not even a much. He's a better defender than this Joey Bart, and it's clear, but Joey Bart has at least like plus 10 on every single hitting stat. And once again, hitting matters so much. This Joey Bart is legitimately good against righties, and he's solid against lefties. He's got solid defense behind the plate. Joey Bart is better than Johnny Bench. I'm gonna put Joey Bart. Do I put him above Patrick Mazeika? Let me take a look real quick. Let me take a look at Patrick Mazeika real quick. Do I think that Joey Bart is better than Patrick Mazeika? I do, honestly. And I think Patrick Mazeika's got to move down a tier, honestly. He's going to go ahead of Johnny Bench in the D tier, but I think Joey Bart is a C tier catcher. I think he's really, really solid, honestly. Next up, we got another Topps Now card, Brian Serven for the Rockies. Very, very, very solid hitting stats. Quality defender, honestly. Not my quality would go too far, I think. Solid defender. Nothing special, but very, very good hitting stat. This Brian Serven card is very, very solid. Obviously, his speed is not good, but like I said, you don't need amazing speed to be a catcher. I'm going to put this Brian Serven card like high B, honestly. Like, I think he's better than a lot of the cards we've seen so far in that general vicinity. I think he's better than Dalton Varsho because of those really solid balanced hitting stats. So I'd put him that high personally. I think he's very, very good. And then next up, we got another Topps Now card, Jorge Alfaro. And I think Jorge Alfaro is honestly very similar to that guy. He obviously lacks a little bit when it comes to power left. He isn't as good against lefties. And he isn't as good behind the plate, but he's got an incredible arm and he's got better speed. I think he's definitely worse. But I think I'd rather have Dalton Varsho, but I think that's it. I think he's in that B tier range. And I think I'm gonna move some stuff around. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move. Well, actually, I'm gonna wait to finish the tier list, and then I'll see what kind of stuff I gotta move on. Because I do a lot of cards left that aren't very good to go over. So we'll be talking about those in a minute. Next up, we got another Face of the Franchise card, and a Face of the Franchise card I do not like that much. Carson Kelly. Now, he actually looks better than I remember. He just can't hit righties. He's very good against lefties. Pretty solid behind the dish. But he just can't hit righties, and that is a problem because righties, obviously lefties are more common right now, but righties still exist. And you got to be able to hit righties. So when it comes to Carson Kelly, I think I'll have him right here below Sean Murphy, but I don't think he's better than Sean Murphy, but he's definitely better than Sanchez and Salvador Perez, because they can't hit one side either, but they're bad defenders. And Carson Kelly's a solid defender, so that's the difference there for me. And next up, we got another face of the franchise card. We got JT Realmuto, one of my favorite players in real life. Love JT Realmuto. He's great behind the dish, obviously got great speed, but the same thing with Johnny Bench, man. This JT Realmuto card, low hitting stats, obviously not as low as Johnny Bench, and I think I'd rather have this card than Johnny Bench, and I think I'd rather have him than Patrick Mazeika, but I think he goes top of D tier. I think this card is not very good. He's got worse hitting stats than Joey Bart, and he's honestly got comparable defense. Joey Bart, he's not that much better than Joey Bart on defense. I think that's absolutely crazy, the fact that that's the truth. JT Realmuto is just so good in real life, or at least he was really good in real life. He's definitely not been as good this year, but that doesn't matter right there. Next up, we got a card I decided to include just because he was a special card. We got Silver Rookie JT Realmuto, and this card just isn't good at all. What? No, never mind. This card isn't good at all. I would rather use Yasmani Grandal. Obviously, the contact's lower, but the power is actually pretty solid. So, JT Realmuto, worst card we've seen so far. Next up, we got a live series card, the first one we've seen so far. We have Will Smith, a guy. I actually don't mind this card for a live series card. He's not amazing behind the dish. He's not good, but he's fine. And he's got okay hitting stats. Now, I'm talking in the vicinity of gold compared to some of the guys up top who I was really trash talking. Like, this guy is definitely worse than Johnny Bench, but he's not bad, honestly. I can't put him D tier. I think he's E tier. I think he's a solid gold catcher, a guy literally day one of the game. If you don't want to do collections, you don't want to get like Napoli, Will Smith, solid option. And next up, we got a catcher who I think is possibly the best catcher in the league in real life, Wilson Contreras. And this is a guy who has legitimate use. Like, for good players in this game who are just not starting off, he's got incredible stats against lefties. And like I said, lefties are the most common pitchers in the game right now. We got Randy Johnson, Dallas, Troy Halladay, a lot of lefties out there, and he's solid behind the dish, got a really good arm, and he's honestly got solid speed. Wilson Contreras, to me, I think he's low D. I don't know if he's better than Johnny Bench. I don't think so, but they're honestly comparable, man. Johnny Bench can't hit. At least Wilson Contreras can hit lefties, man. He can't hit righties at all, though, so that is where he kind of does suck. And next up, we got another gold special card. Threw him on here just because he is a special card, and it's Johnny Bench. This card, if it weren't for his contact, he might be the worst card on this list, but he's just that little bit better than JT Realmuto. F tier, though. Horrible hitting stats. He's good behind the plate, though. Good defender. If you're looking for exclusively a defensive catcher early on in the game, which I don't know why he would be, I guess go for rookie Johnny Bench. And then next up, we got gold Jason Castro. I'm going to kind of fly through these just because I don't want to spend any time on him. Jason Castro. Used him a little bit for missions. He was good when I used him, but now he's an 80 overall gold. He has no practical use. He's better than Yasmani Grandal. Actually, he's worse than Will Smith. He's in E tier. He's better than these bottom three guys. Next up, we got, I believe that's Austin Wells. Yep, Austin Wells coming in next at catcher for the Yankees. Honestly, not a bad card. Bad behind the plate. Solid hitting stats. I'd rather have this guy than Jason Castro and Will Smith. I think he's top of E tier personally. And then next up, we got MJ Melendez, the other MJ Melendez that has come out this year. And honestly, this is a good card right here. This is a solid card. And I think this is, honestly, if MJ Melendez was a better defender, this card would be equal to that Johnny Bench. But he's just a little bit worse of a defender. I think he's better than Wilson Contreras. But he's very close with that Johnny Bench, honestly. It's crazy to say. And then next up, we got who I believe is Tyler Wells. Nope, that is Dylan Dingler. Got that one wrong. Dylan Dingler, solid behind the plate, bad hitting stats. Dylan Dingler is low E. I mean, he's got hitting stats all in the 60s. He's got solid defense behind the plate, but that does just, you need to be able to hit. Like, he's worse than Jason Castro, honestly. And the next up, we got Matthew Nelson of the Cincinnati Reds. Not bad hitter. Solid behind the plate. Matthew Nelson, to me, is a little worse than Will Smith. And finally, the final card on this list, Drew Romo. Once again, not an amazing hitter. Better behind the plate than Matthew Nelson. I think him and Matthew Nelson are honestly pretty even. I'd personally take Drew Romo because he is a switch hitter over Matthew Nelson, and I think he goes right above him in that E tier spot. Now let me look over this real quick and see if there are any moves I want to make. But looking at it right now, I honestly really like where it is. I don't think there is a adjustment I need to make. I think this is a really, really good tier list. You got the 2 best catchers in the game in Mike Piazza and Joe Mauer in S tier. You got all the future stars in A tier. You got some really, really solid cards in B tier. You got some really, really okay cards in C tier. You got some below average cards in D tier, and you got some bad cards in F tier. I would have included some more in here, like Jonah Heim and Travis d'Arnaud, but this video is already going to be like 30 minutes long, and it's probably going to be even longer when it comes to the outfielders. So this is kind of what you guys are going to be seeing when it comes to these tier list videos. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you picked something up from this video, because I'm just doing my best to let you guys know and teach you the best strategies for MLB The Show. But hey guys, while editing this, I just realized I forgot to include Gary Carter. So now we get to go ahead and talk about Gary Carter and include him on this list, because I completely forgot to include him in the tier list somehow, even though he's like tied for the highest rated catcher in the entire game. So let's talk about him a little bit. Gary Carter, definitely not a bad option at catcher at all, although he is very expensive. You need Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and the entire Mets live series team to get him. Looking at his stats, absolutely crushes lefties and is really solid against righties. Pretty solid behind the dish. He would like a little more than 78 fielding, but it's livable for sure. Once again, secondaries are not too bad, but literally that doesn't matter. We're not ranking on secondaries here. He's got bad speed, but that doesn't matter. Righty bat, you love to see that. Gary Carter to me fits somewhere top of B, I think. I think that's where I put Gary Carter, because I don't think he's as good as any of these guys in A tier, but I think he's just a little bit better than Adley Rutschman, so he fits at the beginning of B tier. But yeah, let's get to the outro. But yeah guys, that is gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe with noties on. But yeah, I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace out.